So the docket before us is docket 4737, which is the PUC's review of the need and cost of the proposed transmission line interconnecting the Clear River Energy Center to the transmission system. And I thought we would start by asking council to provide an overview of the issues at hand.
So before you today is Barberville's motion to stay the schedule in the PUC advisory opinion proceeding, which is on need and cost, based on an alleged change in circumstances from when this docket was filed with the Energy Facility Siting Board and then PUC filing. Invenergy has filed 2 petitions at FERC challenging 2 tariffs on cost responsibility and allocation of the interconnection and maintenance costs associated with the transmission line connecting the proposed power plant to the current transmission system. According to Barberville, these facts could change the cost analysis that must be undertaken by the Commission. Thus, Barberville has requested a stay of the PUC advisory opinion schedule pending resolution of those 2 petitions. National Grid, the Division of Public Utilities and Carriers, and the Office of Energy Resources did not object to the motion for stay, but if granted, request an extension of all deadlines in the procedural schedule. The PUC has already extended the discovery deadline for these parties, so that schedule will need to be adjusted anyway. And I actually have a meeting scheduled with the attorneys after this open meeting. Clear River Energy has objected to the stay that is dependent upon resolution of the 2 matters before FERC. It has suggested the Commission wait to consider this motion until after the Energy Facility Siting Board rules on the show cause request that has been filed on the underlying plant application being heard by the Energy Facility Siting Board on January 30th of this year. Clear River has also requested a limit on the scope of discovery as it would relate to the FERC proceedings in the advisory opinion docket. Yesterday, Barberville filed a motion with the Energy Facility Siting Board requesting a show cause hearing on the transmission line and for an extension of the advisory opinion deadlines from March 15, 2018 to some point in the future. Currently, however, the deadline for the Commission to provide an advisory opinion is March 15, 2018. If the Commission does not, if the schedule is not extended by the Energy Facility Siting Board and the Commission does not render an advisory opinion by that date, the Commission will have lost its ability to render the opinion, and the Energy Facility Siting Board will have lost its ability to have an advisory opinion and will then need to do it itself at their final hearing, as part of their final hearings. So that's your timeline, and that's what's before you right now.
Thank you, Councilor. And I would suggest that the PUC will be difficult for us to provide an advisory opinion with respect to whether the project is cost justified until the potential impact on Rhode Island ratepayers is better understood. On the other hand, the fact that a stay, as requested, would push the schedule beyond the EFSB deadline is difficult. So I would suggest that we direct Council to set a new schedule maintaining the March 15th, 2018 deadline. This would ensure that we don't lose the opportunity to provide the EFSB with guidance if they do not extend the deadline. In addition, I would suggest that questions related to the FERC proceedings be narrowly tailored to cost only. Council may also request an alternative schedule or set an alternative schedule, assuming an extension would be granted with the cooperation of the parties.
Are you also looking for the Commission to seek any additional guidance from the Energy Facility Siting Board as to whether or not an extension of the advisory opinions may be provided? I think the Commission could, of course, render an advisory opinion. It would be conditional, so you'd have to look at different scenarios in the advisory opinion, so you would still be able to do it. However, it may be that the Energy Facility Siting Board would like to know that so that they could decide if they wanted to, depending on what their schedule looks like, if they wanted to get more precise information.
Right, right. So as a first step, I would propose that we direct you to ask the EFSB for guidance regarding the status of the underlying application and whether or not the March 15th deadline for the PUC to render our advisory opinion may be adjusted in light of information received by the EFSB at the show cause hearing, which is now scheduled for January 30th. Do you have any additional comments, Commissioner Anthony?
No, it seems like the biggest issue is the time frame, and that this advisory opinion is sort of stuck in the middle of this time frame. If we can move that deadline, we can sort of align the time frame in order to provide our advisory opinion after a decision has been made at FERC. Is that?
I'm not sure how far the Energy Facility Siting Board, if they decide to push it out, would push it out. It may be that at the end of the day it was still somewhat conditional, but you'd at least have more information before you, and the parties would have the opportunity to further flesh that out. However, as I said, and Commissioner Gold indicated, the Commission should still have a schedule anticipating a March 15th deadline just in case, so that the Commission's not leaving the Energy Facility Siting Board with more work to do on the other end.
So is this a multi-part motion? Yeah.
I think it is. I think that the first part, as you said, was the first part.
Direct counsel to ask the EFSB for guidance regarding the status of the underlying application and the status of the March 15th deadline for the PUC advisory opinion. That would be the first part. And then the second part would be to direct counsel to work with the parties to set a new schedule, and that would be a plan A and a plan B. First, plan A would be the schedule if we adhere to the March 15th deadline, and plan B would be a schedule assuming that the March 15th deadline would be extended.
Correct. And so there will be, since the Commission doesn't know what the EFSB will do and what kind of time frame it would give, it would likely be to extend discovery and set some deadlines there.
The discovery that was initially due on December 29th has been extended, and that would provide responses to some of the cost questions that are under consideration. Is that correct?
It would, although I haven't looked at the discovery requests in a while, so I'm not sure if they were issued prior to the FERC filings or subsequent to the FERC filings. But I would also talk to the parties very specifically about the scope, along with your directive. We haven't gotten to it, but what you said earlier, assuming it becomes a motion, your directive that the scope of the discovery should be limited to just what's before the Commission.
So two different motions? I think I said the first one already.
You can make it a three-part. So the first part is to direct council to ask for guidance from the Energy Facility Siting Board. The second was to set a new schedule based on the March 15th deadline and a later deadline. And so I'm directing the third.
And the third would be to direct the parties that questions related to the FERC proceedings should be narrowly tailored to cost only. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. I believe those are all the matters that we have before us. Any further questions, Council? So the open meeting is adjourned.